Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning into today's session on collective action, a key to systematic engagement. Um, we today to facilitate this, we have Ruchi Kashyap from Atma Shakti. When I first heard of Atma Shakti, I was very much intrigued. I was very curious to visit them, and I did visit them last year around this time. I think in the month of July, I think early first week of July, last year, this time, I mean. So they've done an excellent work on how they could equip, empowered, marginalized, especially the tribals of Orissa, in writing their own manifesto, and also they have encouraged them to fight for own uh, rights in various issues for the government schemes to be more available in these areas. So a little about Ruchi. um, Ruchi is a major in chemistry. She started working with Atma Shakti ever since 2009. When she first started, neither did she know that where she would exercise all the cutting edge strategies she has imbibed in her early management avatar. When she scaled up a profit making venture at Shruti Foundation from an annual of 10,000 to 10 million rupees in just 1 year, expanding from 5 employees to 120. She dropped a promising career there to pursue a call to do something more meaningful and big at the grassroots level. When Ruchi began working in the field with remote tribes, mentored by Koko Singh, her slate was clean of any socio-political preconception, and every step forward was based on her experiential learning. She spearheaded an effort of humongous proportions spread over 12 arduous years of risk taking and experimentation in initiating sustainable collective action among the tribes and marginalized communities of Odisha. Unlike conventional leader based interventionist methods of development, she and her team pursued a model where leaders would rise from within these remote communities and clamor for their space, needs, and rights in a society and polity that found it expedient to ignore them, even taking away the little they had. They help build hundreds of self organized groups in villages that learn to identify problems and then find their own solutions. As a woman leader and one of the youngest in a decidedly patriarchal mindset, she created her place by creating space for others. She encouraged divergence, variety, and appreciated every kind of skill set added to the workforce while providing means to enhance and build on them. Today, the about 400 strong force in the field supports tribal and poor villages in tackling not only the local issues of employment, water, cooking gas, electricity, roads, food, etc., but also in influencing policy level changes in education, health, land, and forest rights. As a result of these campaigns and strategies Ruchi initiated, and her teams work in building groups at the village level with an educated activist approach to their rights. Atma Shakti Trust has reached over 1 million families in the state of Odisha across 17 districts. Her biggest achievement, Ruchi feels, is that no one knows Atma Shakti in these villages. It is all about groups of people, empowered people. So we're so thrilled and privileged to have Ruchi with such experiential and reaching so many marginalized and tribals of Odisha, creating a great impact in their communities to facilitate us and to address us on this very key issue where most of us as NGOs and individuals struggle. So thank you so much, Ruchi, for doing this for us. And we invite you to share your insights with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you to give me this platform to share our work. And I'm really privileged to share. Just let me know whenever you think my voice is weak and you want me to repeat. Please let me know because the connection is little weak here.
Sure.
So, is audible? My voice is audible to all.
Yes,
Should we
yes.
start? Yeah. So
This.
yeah. So basically, you know what, yeah, Chris shared that we worked in Odisha, and we started with a model called activist intervention strategy. So in which there were 4 5 things we kept in mind. Because as per my background, we were working in some of the organizations where if you just hear the name activist, you think that activists who are the people who raise the voice, or they just see something going wrong, so they just take initiative to correct it. So basically, in Shruti, we were supporting a bunch of activists all over the India, and they were all like they were all doing initiatives in small areas, like one block, 10 villages, or some issue based, like there's some issue happen, some dam displacement issue or some other issues, and they just the movement starts and it just faded away when the issue sorted or it is not sorted. So it is like very short term, very small scale things were happening, and Shruti used to used to give them fellowship, and very small fellowship to survive. So we realized, me and one of other colleague who's also a managing trustee in Atma Shakti Trust. So we both realized that let's try to do this model at a large scale, and if we have something in place, so we can definitely negotiate with the government, and can bring some change at a larger scale. So keeping that in mind, we introduced activist intervention strategy in 2009 to Odisha. Why we chose Odisha? Because it's a tribal Dalit dominated state, and we wanted to start in a state where there is a homogeneous community. So because it's easy to mobilize them and there's no conflict as such caste and religion, so we thought, okay, let's try this model at the community where they all belong to the same tribe. So, and also at that time it was in the top three poorest state. So we thought, okay, it's poor, forest, like most of the areas are forest, and also they were all conflict zones. So because we realized that wherever there is a conflict of like Naxal movement or some other kind of conflict, then the government is not able to reach out to the people, and there are so many gaps to work on. So that was something we chose Odisha, and 2009 we started our intervention there. So to start with, like there were 4 5 rules we followed, like the area should be SC/ST dominated, or and there should be one entry point, because we realized that when we use many entry points to talk about the issues, then community get confused, and then there will be a problem, because there thousands of the issue we raise at a time, and if it is not getting sorted, they stop believing in it. So we thought we will keep one entry point as an one issue at a time, and also we thought that we will do carpet coverage. It means that if we enter to a block, so we will cover 100%. If we enter to a district, we will cover 100%. So we realized that carpet coverage is very important to to have little negotiation power at one particular area. Suppose in one block there are around 15 panchayats and also like around 3,000 villages, so we are going to be present in all 3,000 villages. So and that way, the power is more and we can negotiate in a better way. So that was the rule number 3. And then we realized that we will pick up an issue in which they will get some financial benefit. Because if we start with a some issue which is a long term achievement issue, or some policy level issues which is difficult to achieve, so then people started some after some time people get tired, and we have to have small wins to have like maintain the momentum of the organization. So we realized that we picked up MGNREGS, this Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. It was an act we picked up act because we think that that's a right and we can negotiate better if it is a right. And also at the same time, that was the priority to the government, because that was Congress time, and they initiated this, and all the government were in favor. So we don't want to go anti government. We don't want to start something where we think that government is not going to support, because it's the initial stage and we want to start a very favorable issue, and at the same time it should have some monetary benefit to the people. So we started with MGNREGS in 2000, from 2009 to 2011-12. We made many milestones, like we created many success at different level. So that was another point where we thought that we should have an entry point which is going to give them some kind of monetary benefit, and the success is a short term success, not a long term success. And then another one is that whoever will be like we will choose 100% local team. That was the another rule of the model, where we thought that all our field workers are going to be local. We'll not we will not try to bring people from outside, because the model says that we are going to sustain their honorarium by community support, or by community membership. So the community is not going to support anyone from outside. They are going to support someone who belongs to that area. So keeping that in mind, we picked up all the local youth, local tribal boys and girls, and the team is like, most of the team is local. So that was the beautiful part of the whole thing. And the another part, which is sustainability, which we thought that from the very first day we will not spend our money on asset buildings, on capital spending, on and all the meetings, the food and transport, everything was getting supported by the community, and we would just try to spend more and more our money into the salaries and honorarium. So from the very first day we were very clear that we are going to sustain this. We are not going to it's basically, it's not that we will just keep spending like an NGO, and then they will just completely dependent on us. So that was the another rule. And as a journey, as I told, that 2009 to 2012 we were talking about only MGNREGS, and we that there were many problems when we entered. There was no bank accounts, there were no C1 forms, and there was like all the offices were closed and they were not able to submit the demand. So we did some policy level change also. We did millions of postcard, we wrote millions of postcards to the like chief minister, to the line departments, and they were all completely shocked that how they are getting 10 lakhs postcards saying the same thing. So it was a kind of a very powerful exercise, and they started realizing our presence, and they noticed that there's some collective who was saying the same thing and started doing the same thing. So we were just like, if we are doing some protests, so every district is having the same demand, and doing the protest in the same way. So that way we started showing our presence, and government started recognizing us as in Narega expert, MGNREGS expert, and they started calling us on a different platforms to just ensure that they should just get whatever is happening at the grassroots. They recognized us as a grassroots organization. So like just opposite to that, where when you do such things, you are most of the time against the government, but somehow we are questioning them, but at the same time we were just standing with them in all the decision making. So it was a very good equation. And initially there was a so much of conflict with the Naxals, and that they were all present in most of our area, and they realized that this is some force, and they are talking to the community and talking about their rights and all. So initially they were also very confused, and they killed one of our uh, Jansathi. And after that we were really shocked, and most of our sathis were really scared of getting into the areas. And but gradually we initiated some conversations, and we make them realize that we are not not their side, and we are not at government side. We are pro people organization, and we are there wherever the people think that they need it. So then 2012 we realized that there was a Food and Nutrition Security Act was supposed to come, and then before that only we started talking about this, and we realized that there were like around 1 lakh families who were not getting included because of there's a wrong inclusion criteria. So again we did million postcard campaign, and we did cycle Yatra, and we did many other campaigns to change the inclusion criteria, and those all people got included in Food and Nutrition, which came in 2012-13. So that was another milestone. And then, as I was telling you, that we were going one by one. We were not doing many things, and we were marking the presence. Whatever we are doing, it's something. It's like pro government, pro people, and at the same time we are just trying to bridge the gap. We are there to help. So after that we realized in 2015 that water was something, water availability is the only point people were fighting for, but no one was talking about water quality. So we made an issue. We brought thousands of the bottles of the water. The people come with the water testing kits, and they said that their water is not drinkable. And from 2015 to 2017, 3 years, we made an issue of water. And as a result, that they introduced Vasudha, in which they said that every panchayat should have pipe water supply. This process is still going on. We are still talking about that safe drinking water should be a right, but yeah, it's ongoing. But as a result, the pipe water reached up till panchayat. So that was another win. And then we started talking about education, health, Forest Right Act, and it was just ongoing. And education and health, we did very interesting campaign in which we talk about we like on cycle we covered around 1,000 schools and 1,000 hospitals, and prepared a report card, and all the grassroots leaders presented this report card to the government, and they recognize it. And as a result, there are around 1,600 teachers and doctors appointed after this whole campaign. So that way we are growing, and our campaigns are something very powerful, and people are believing in it. And we are picking up issue one after another. With this, we started some like, suppose when you are demanding, so government most of the time ask, what do you think, how we can do it, because you are just saying do it. So sometimes we have to really create some models to showcase that this can be done in this way. So that way we have created some models on health, agriculture, where we are talking about that how effectively you can work in these remote areas. And this is very intensive work. And also we work around with 57,000 farmers last year, and brought them on a organic farming and second crop, because Odisha is basically a rain-fed agriculture, and they just survive on one crop. So it was a great achievement when we brought these many farmers on a second crop, because if there's a second crop, then there'll be no as such issues. So that way, the special projects, which is like giving more insights to the government, and we are proving our point that whatever we are saying, it can be done if we use the government assets properly. So our USP is that we believe in conversion. Whatever is there already with the government, we try to bring that in place, because that's already so much. We don't believe in like try to duplicate whatever is there. So that was the whole journey of our work. And so there's some do's and don'ts we followed. Like we said that there'll be no shortcut. Like some of our senior people knows the chief minister, or we are like some of us are lawyers, and we can do some PIL against whatever we see there's something wrong going on. But we never did this. We always want that the community members should go to the village, then panchayat, then block, then district, then state. they should follow the whole process. It should not be any shortcut like some intellectual will come and then do the PIL and things will get sorted. We want that it should be long term, but also at the same time the whole process they should follow. We believe in whatever that whatever the government is offering. So we think that if you follow this process, you will definitely get it. It's little long term, but it is more sustainable. So, and also that we realize that we will not take the space of these tribal, which normally, if you see the models that people coming from outside, they are more aware, they are more educated, and they take their space. So we promise to each other that we will not be a face. So no one knows us. Everyone knows the local leaders and even the ministers and line departments. No one knows Atma Shakti there. So we are not the face. Even no one knows who's the Ruchi is. If I'm going to visiting the villages, I always present myself as a member of Odisha Shramjeevi Manch, Mahila Odisha Shramjeevi Manch, which are our local collectives. So Atma Shakti is nowhere because that way there are two things. One is that the people started believing that this is their own power, there's no NGO behind, and also they started taking ownership. Along with that, it's more safe too, because seeing the current situation, becoming a face of such movements is like can just create some trouble to the organization, which is on a like as we are quite big in size. We are now at present currently we are 550 at the ground. So you can think of if we do such mistakes, so what will happen to the 550 people who are getting paid from the organization. So that was another do's and don'ts, like that was something we kept in mind. And another thing is that our 100% money is coming from individual funding, and there's no asset institutional grant and no FCRA. We have FCRA, but we believe that whatever we are going to work, we are going to raise at the from the people for the people. So that is again another beautiful part. And we are around raising 1 crore from local contribution for the meetings and campaign. And we are giving around 110 our workers honorarium by membership people's collection collective, which is like we started with 60 rupees, now it is 100. And it is like they can give 2 kg of haldi or 4 kg of rice, or they can give money installment, because it's the yearly annual fund. So 100 rupees in 12 months is not difficult for them, and that is supporting our Jansati's honorarium, because numbers are more, so it is easy to pay. So this like 10 rupees a month is even less than 10 is something very very less for them, and they give mostly in kind. So it's easily it's doable, it's scalable. And at present we reached to 1 million families, and we are targeting almost 8 million, which is 10% of the rural poor. And we are targeting 3 million, including 1 million, 3 million in Odisha, and 5 million in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, part of Madhya Pradesh, part of Andhra, and some part of Rajasthan, where all the tribal dominated areas are. And at the same time, we are focusing more on conflict zones, because we think there are like more gaps and government is not able to reach out to them. So they really need some collective action, because when they are together, they can achieve whatever they want to. And also like there are some stories in the sense that we give the sangathan badges. So whoever is wearing the badge, even the middlemen, the touts, they don't challenge them. They just they know that they belong to that sangathan. So that way they have their presence, their they are fearless, and they know there are thousands of people behind them. And also that if on our letterhead, like Odisha Shramjeevi Manch or the local Sangathan's name letterhead, if there's some complaint goes to the district collector or other officials, they just know that how powerful this organization is. So they just immediately sort the issue out. And like this, I just want to share some part of our COVID work, because that was something we have changed our way of work completely, because we were campaign based organization. And we were using so much of in-person movement. So how we managed with the grassroots, like from last 2-3 months, when there were so many issues. So we have like as an effort from last 2-3 months, 2-3 years, we gave them, all of our team who is really really remote, all tribal boys and all, we gave them a phone on the loan. And they all have smartphone. Most of them are, they know how to run WhatsApp and all. But when this lockdown happened in next 15 days, we trained them on Twitter and Facebook, and we created a 20 Twitter warrior group. And all of them, we channelized everything, and they were all sending the stories, and Twitter warriors were posting it on Twitter. And as a result, the food minister came, and he started answering back. And then he said that he wanted to meet all these leaders, who are they, who are doing it in a big way. So we reached out to thousands of the people to help in such distress situation. And then food minister did 3 hours Zoom meeting with all the leaders, and we were nowhere. They didn't even know who's Atmashakti is. They did a Zoom call with our leaders. So that was something very very like amazing. And he gave his personal number. He said, anywhere if there is a problem, just let me know. And wherever they were giving the ration and everything, they were clicking the picture and sending back to the Twitter that this work is done. So they responded in a very different way. And also like during COVID time, we were all stuck here because we have our offices in Delhi. And around 11 of us have house here, and we most of the time 20-25 days travel. But during this time we got stuck here. And we were trying to initiate some activity 6 months back nearby slum with the rec pickers identity. So some of the rec pickers called us, and they said there was a problem of the ration. So we it was a Sunday morning, and I thought, okay, let me try to raise some money. I will raise 1 lakh, 2 lakh, something like that, so we can support these 100, 200 families. But we ended up raising 75 lakhs, and we supported almost 18,000 families, and which are all rectifiers and domestic workers and construction workers. And in this process, we contacted Food Corporation of India, and we fought with them. They were not providing us the subsidized rice and other grains. So we took on a subsidized rate, and that was, and afterwards, there many organizations took this benefit. Earlier, they were not giving. And also, we collaborated with the local collectors and SDM, and with their they gave all their vehicles to just roam around and to bringing the, like, we bought almost 1 lakh kgs of rice. And they gave all their vehicles, and they even the community packed the whole stuff. And so we have not used a single penny on logistics. And so how we engage the community, government, and other stakeholders. And we worked almost, it's ongoing right now. And hopefully we will reach out to 1,000 more families. But yeah, it's something very great experience during COVID time, when we were feeling so helpless. And we somehow engaged all of them together, and did it in a different way. Right now we are doing food for work with Raktikar families who are not able to reach back, like go back to their work. So we are, they are just cleaning up there, because there's a rainy season going to come. And these backpacker slums are having so much of stuff lying. So we sorted all the stuff and cleaned everything. And in that way we provided them food, so their dignity also maintained, that they worked and they got it. So the food for work is going on. And that is something, our experience. And yeah, our work. So it's already, I spoke 30 minutes, so I think now I should pass all of you. If you want to ask some kind of questions, any query, I would love to answer. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, so over to you. You can ask if there's some queries. I would love to answer.
Sure. Does any of the participants have any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Meera from Tirupati. It was a very nice presentation, really taking care of the community's needs as well as community participation. I have one question. How did the other NGOs in the area respond?
Okay. In Odisha, you are talking about the on our work,
Yes,
how we.
yes.
Okay. So it was really nice because when we entered in Odisha, we both were from Delhi, and there were many other conflicts we saw among the civil society, that there were different partitions, that this belonged to this belonged to this. But somehow we brought our different mindset, and you can't believe from the first 5 years we used many civil societies offices, their vehicle, their other resources, and they happily contributed to us. We said that we don't want to spend any single thing on our asset building, and we want to just focus more and more on people's honorarium. So there were, like, I just still remember the way they helped us. And at present also, like, we started two institutions called Center for Learning and Development and Bitsa Vaini, in which we are training all the grassroots cadre. So it's like they all are coming, teaching there, they are volunteering with us. So we have a very good, like, as I said, that I believe in stakeholder engagement. Even we realize that even the panchayat, the sarpanch, who is the headman, village headman, mostly they are not very happy with the sangathan's presence, but we always try to even bring them also into the thing, that we will ask them to cut the ribbon. Even the MLAs, MPs, local, we will invite them to take the initiative, take the credit, take the recognition, but just be with us. So that strategy really helped with us. And the civil society is very much with us. They really recognize, and they said that you guys are just surviving from last 10 years, 11 years, when there is such a bad situation and there was no funds available for right based work, and how you guys are surviving without any conflict at this stage. So we have a good rapport among them. Yeah. So that's very, very important actually, to bring all of them together, because otherwise we keep duplicating. Like, suppose we know they are already doing some work, so we always leave that area to use their resources in that particular area. So that is one of the strategy we are using. A very relevant question, actually.
Actually,
I
they
hope
did
I
not
answered.
treat you as a threat. Most often, you will find that NGOs will think that they are a threat, A new person entering into their area, they think that it's their territory and somebody is intruding. All kinds of assumptions and fears they have. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, most of the time this happened, and it happened with us also, but we were not on a different line altogether, because we were not taking any don't we were not into some donor management. We were not showing our work as a project. Our work is a movement which is 10 years non-stop. We are saying the same thing. So they didn't find, after some time, they didn't find any competitive thing, because we were not patching their donations. So yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So any other question? I hope I replied to that question.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
curious. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I'm curious to know. So, what are you currently doing in these areas?
And currently we are talking about, like, so first is we are talking about educational gap. Like I told you that we did a big campaign on infrastructure and the teacher student ratio. But now we are talking about, we are doing a test of 8th, 5th and 3rd grade, and we are giving data to the government that why don't you start some remedial classes when the classes are not like they are not able to start the school. So we are putting pressure on the state government and district government, and many of them really picked up well, and they said, yeah, this is a very good data. No one can give us one in, like, we prepared all the lists and did maths, English, and Odia test of all the tribal kids. So, and prepared a big, large database with the evidences. So that is something we are doing right now. And also, like, there were another campaign which is very interesting, and we are going to launch a place called Women Centric Villages, in which women is going to have leadership, and they are going to have the ownership of the land, and they are going to do they are going to be recognized as a farmer, and also there will be no less hemoglobin and no other reproductive health issues, and having all kind of work. So there are around 16 parameters we have decided, and we are going to do 16 days campaign from 1st to 16 July, and every day one day we are talking about one issue, and doing a Twitter and some debate discussion on Facebook, and at the grassroots level we are doing some FGDs and engaging government and local leaders and intellectuals. So these are the two major campaign on education and women centric villages we are talking about. And another one is in the health area, about we are doing a model where we are showcasing how you can make this add-in tablet model successful. And the area is like almost 60 to 70% women are like anemic. So again, we're doing intensive research and talking about this to the government, that with the existing resources, whatever they are having, but just a little bit change in their campaigns, how they can make it effective. So, and besides that, many other small things are going on, like we are doing some agriculture activities to have a second crop in place, because we are doing seed treatments and promoting some nutrition garden. That's all work is going on, but these are two major campaign about education and gender, which is just starting, and education is ongoing, and first we are starting this women thing. So yeah.
Okay. So Ruchi, if I have to ask you, I know there have been various factors that have been influencing your success in this area, but what is one advice you would leave with us as NGOs to have it as a success mantra in empowering the people that we work with?
I think the ownership and collective action is something we believe that that is really successful, because sometimes we got we don't even realize, we think we are helping them, but it's like an example of it's something you are just making them dependent on you. And whatever I'm saying, it's not a short term achievement. Consistency is very much important. And unfortunately, most of the organizations are dependent on the donors, and donors keep changing their lines. So they keep changing their project, and that's their strategy for us, that we cannot consistently do one work and can get some results. So consistent approach, and like whatever you believe in, you just follow, and bring the community as a primary stakeholder, and engage all other stakeholders who are there in the picture. Don't think, even when we did a school campaign, we even engaged the school teacher who was not teaching and who was completely against us. But you can't believe, when the film we made the film on it, and they were interviewing, and they were coming, they were supporting us. They didn't even realize that somewhere we are talking about their failure. So but that's the magic, that we engaged them so much that they didn't even uh, they realized that this is something their mistake, and they have to do it. So that's very, very important. Don't sideline those people, even the middlemen, stouts, because this is a structure which is there in the system, and it's, you can't just deny their presence. Every small single part is important. and somehow we just do that mistake, that we are not engaging the community as a primary stakeholder and also not engaging other stakeholders. So, and even showcasing your power to the government is like we did million postcard campaign, and million postcard campaign in one of our film, like you can see channel Atmashakti, you can go and see channel Atmashakti's, there's a question to answers is the film, in which you will see the thousands of the women came from their villages, bring the postcards in the bag, and went to state Bhubaneswar post office, and they were like in the line, and they were all post box were full of cards, and then postmaster took everything in hand, and the media covered, and the media was completely shocked to see that how these guys are managing in such a big way, and no one can do this, that there's a 1 lakh postcard in a day, and thousands of women came spending their own money in the trains and posted in Bhubaneswar, because when we were posting from their district, they were just not highlighting this. So we thought, okay, we will highlight here. So there are many good strategies we have used, and campaign is something our expertise is, and I would like if someone wanted to learn about more, we are really happy to share the campaigns, the planning, how we do the campaigns, because that is something our expertise is now. And also, like if you want to come to the field, see the work, understand about it, want to do this model in your places, we don't mind to share our experiences. So that is something I believe in, like collective action. That's why I gave this caption that collective action is the key of sustainable development, because when you're together, no one can stop you. It's very, very important to be together.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for those beautiful insights and how you guys have succeeded. Yeah, as I said in my introduction, I did visit one three villages where they've done this work, and it's really beautiful to see how empowered they feel, and how they are owning up things and working towards it. So I want to ask if any of the participants have any other questions.
So there are always two
Yeah,
things
sure, go
that
ahead.
if no one is in question, that means no one understands, or if it is like everyone understands. So I think which one is the situation?
I think you've very beautifully simplified that all of us could understand, and with field work experience, I think they are able to relate to it. So I don't doubt that. So thank you so much, Ruchi. I'm gonna leave the channel handles on our um, WhatsApp group so that people can actually see what we have just discussed on. So thank you so much for doing this for us, for sharing your experiences, and also being very proactive um, in offering us to support and to share more in-depth insights with us. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining into today's session on collective action, a key to sustainable development.
Yeah, and thank you very much for this opportunity to be with all of you. And please be free. You can just talk to her anytime and ask any kind of information. I'm always there. I would love to share, because
Sure.
anyone can do it. So it's
Yeah.
very doable. Yeah, and just do subscribe the channel. So we keep posting every month very grassroots artwork, all films and all.
Yes.
So you can see, and
Sure.
thank
So
you.
thank you. Have a good evening, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.